Have you ever been sleeping peacefully, only to wake up because your cat is standing directly on your chest? Maybe it slowly walks across your legs, maybe it steps on your stomach, or maybe, somehow, it always manages to put one paw exactly where it's guaranteed to wake you up. If you live with a cat, you've probably experienced this more than once. And every time it happens, the same question comes to mind. Why? Is your cat trying to wake you up, looking for food, trying to get your attention, or is it simply being a cat? At first it might seem completely random. After all, why would a cat choose to walk across a sleeping human instead of simply going around them? But here's something most people don't realize. Cats almost never waste energy without a reason. That doesn't mean every behavior has one single explanation. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming there's only one answer. The truth is much more interesting. Your cat may be walking on you because you're warm, because you're familiar, because you've accidentally taught it that this behavior works, or simply because, from your cat's point of view, you're part of the environment it feels safest exploring. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your cat chooses to walk on you, why some cats always aim for your chest, why others step on your face, and why this surprisingly common behavior often says more about your daily relationship than you might imagine. But before we talk about the different reasons, there's something important you need to understand about how cats make decisions. Because unlike humans, cats don't stop and think, I'll walk on my owner because I want to annoy them. Their behavior is usually much simpler than that. Every movement they make is influenced by something in their environment. A familiar routine, a comfortable place, a learned habit, a source of warmth, or an opportunity they've discovered through experience. That's one of the reasons cats can sometimes seem unpredictable, when in reality, they're following patterns that make perfect sense to them. Think about your own home. Your cat probably has favorite sleeping spots, favorite windows, favorite chairs, favorite hiding places. None of those choices happen by accident. Over time, cats learn which places feel safe, which places are comfortable, and which places lead to something rewarding. The exact same thing happens with you. To your cat, you're not just another person living in the house. You're one of the most familiar parts of its daily world. Your voice, your scent, your routine, even the way you move around the house becomes something your cat quietly learns over time. And once you understand that, everything about the strange nighttime behavior starts making much more sense. Because the real question isn't, why is my cat walking on me? The real question is, what makes me such an interesting place for my cat to walk in the first place? And that's exactly where the story begins. The first thing many people assume is that their cat is simply looking for attention. And sometimes that's absolutely true. But if that were the whole story, if I'm like us all, cats would walk on us all day long. Instead, many of them choose one very specific moment, when we're asleep. Why? To answer that, we need to think like a cat. Imagine the bedroom through your cat's eyes. The lights are off. Everything is quiet. Nothing is moving. Most of the room looks exactly the same as it did an hour ago, except for one thing. You. Even while you're sleeping, you're still the most noticeable object in the room. You're warm, you're breathing, you occasionally move, and you're giving off a scent that's incredibly familiar to your cat. For a species that relies heavily on smell, touch, and routine, that's a very interesting place to investigate. One of the simplest explanations is warmth. Cats naturally seek warm places because conserving body heat helps them save energy. That's why you'll often find them stretched out in a sunny window, curled up on top of a blanket, or sleeping next to a heater. Your body is simply another reliable source of warmth. In fact, while the rest of the bedroom slowly cools during the night, your body continues producing heat. To your cat, that warm spot isn't random. It's one of the most comfortable places in the entire room. But warmth alone doesn't explain everything. If it did, your cat would probably stay beside you. Instead, some cats deliberately climb across your legs, walk over your stomach, or stand directly on your chest before settling down. So there's clearly something else happening. Another important reason is familiarity. Cats are incredibly good at learning what belongs in their environment. They recognize familiar smells, familiar sounds, familiar routines, and over time, you become one of the most predictable parts of their world. Your bed isn't just where you sleep, it's also where your scent is strongest. To your cat, it's one of the safest places in the house. That's why many cats naturally choose to spend part of the night there. Not because they're trying to interrupt your sleep, but because, from their perspective, they're choosing a place that already feels comfortable and secure. And then, there's something even more interesting. Cats don't just learn places, they also learn consequences. Imagine that every morning. Your cat walks across your chest, you wake up, you pet them, you talk to them, maybe you even get out of bed and prepare breakfast. Your cat doesn't need to understand why you got up. It only needs to notice one simple pattern. I walk on my human, and something good usually happens next. For a cat, that's a very powerful lesson. Not because it's trying to manipulate you, but because animals naturally repeat behaviors that have worked well in the past. And sometimes, without realizing it, we're the ones teaching them exactly what to do. But here's where things become even more interesting. Have you ever noticed that your cat doesn't always walk on the same part of your body? Some cats head straight for your chest. Others walk across your legs, some curl up near your feet. And then there are those fearless cats that somehow end up standing right on your pillow, or even your face. At first, it almost feels intentional, as if your cat had carefully chosen the most inconvenient place possible. But in reality, there's usually a much simpler explanation. Let's start with the chest. Many cats naturally settle there because it's one of the warmest parts of your body, but warmth isn't the only reason. When your cat lies on your chest, it can also feel the gentle rise and fall of your breathing and the steady rhythm of your heartbeat. Those slow, predictable movements create an environment that feels calm and familiar. For many cats, that's simply a comfortable place to rest. Now think about your legs. If your cat regularly walks across them, it may simply be taking the easiest route across the bed. Cats don't think about personal space the way humans do. From their perspective, the bed is just another surface to explore. And if you're lying in the middle of it, walking over you can be far easier than climbing around you. Then there are the cats that settle near your feet. Why there? In many homes, that's one of the least disturbed areas of the bed. Your upper body moves more often during sleep. Your arms shift, your head turns, but your feet usually remain much more predictable. For some cats, that makes them an ideal place to rest without being disturbed. And what about the pillow or your head? This surprises many people, but your head carries one of the strongest concentrations of your natural scent. To a cat, smell is one of the primary ways of recognizing familiar individuals. Sleeping close to your head may simply place your cat near one of the most recognizable parts of you. Again, not because it's trying to make a statement, not because it's claiming ownership, but because that area feels especially familiar. Of course, every cat is different. Some love sleeping in contact with their owners. Others prefer staying at the end of the bed. Some won't sleep in the bedroom at all. And that's completely normal. One behavior doesn't tell the whole story. Instead, it's the pattern over time that helps us understand what a cat is comfortable with. The important thing to remember is this. Your cat isn't choosing these places based on human emotions. It's choosing them based on comfort, familiarity, safety, and experiences that have worked well before. Once you start looking at the behavior through your cat's perspective, it suddenly becomes much easier to understand. And there's one final piece of the puzzle that many owners completely overlook, because sometimes your cat isn't walking on you because of where you're sleeping. It's walking on you because of what happens immediately afterward. By now, you might be wondering something. What if my cat only walks on me when it wants breakfast? The answer is, that can absolutely happen. Cats are excellent at learning routines. In fact, they're constantly paying attention to what happens after certain behaviors. Imagine this. One morning, your cat walks across your chest. You wake up, you get out of bed, you fill the food bowl. The next morning, the same thing happens. Then the next, and the next. Your cat doesn't need to understand clocks. It doesn't need to know what 7 o'clock means. It simply learns a very reliable pattern. When I walk on my human, the day begins. For many cats, that's all the information they need. This is something animal behaviorists call associative learning. When a behavior is consistently followed by something rewarding, that behavior becomes more likely to happen again. Sometimes the reward is food. Sometimes it's attention. Sometimes it's simply the fact that you wake up and start interacting with them. From your cat's perspective, all of those outcomes can be rewarding. And here's something many owners don't realize. Even pushing your cat away, talking to it, or sitting up in bed can still be interpreted as a successful interaction. To us, it might feel like we're telling our cat to stop, but to the cat, something happened because it chose to walk on you. That doesn't mean your cat is manipulating you. Cats aren't making complicated plans. They're simply repeating behaviors that have produced positive results before. It's one of the ways all animals learn. This is also why two cats living in different homes can behave completely differently. One cat may quietly sleep until its owner wakes up naturally. Another may jump onto the bed every single morning. Neither behavior is strange. Each cat is responding to the routines it has experienced throughout its life. And if you've ever wondered, why does my cat only do this to me and not to anyone else? The answer may be surprisingly simple. Because you're the person whose routine your cat knows best. You're the one it has learned from, the one whose habits have become predictable, the one most closely connected to its daily life. If you enjoyed this video and want to understand your cat on a deeper level, don't forget to subscribe to Feline Mind.